Well, I don't want him to do too much running, as I told him. I said go through BP, take some BP, see how you feel, and we'll go from there. As I said yesterday, there's a concern there, and I don't think he's ready to go, but we're going to let him take some BP.
How do you gauge there's just 20 games left in the season, you need every win you can get, and he's a guy that can help the offense with not wanting to injure him further?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that we have to weigh. As he went through the weekend and, what we saw, there was concern, and there's still concern, and it's just talking to the staff and, training staff and the doctors and their thoughts.
You had said Gardner was going to see the doctor again yesterday. Anything new on him?
Well, he has the abdominal strain. He'll be out a few more days at least, because that can become something that's fairly serious. So we are giving him a few more days, and he'll go from there.
Have you decided how you're going to use Phelps, or when you're going to bring Phelps back?
Our hope is to bring him back maybe when we go to Baltimore. He'll throw a bullpen today, and he threw the simulate game, and our hope is to bring him back in Baltimore. And he would be, in the bullpen, a guy that I could use an inning plus, and then if I, I'd have to give him some days off after that.
Sweeney.
Do you have starters for the doubleheader?
We will go, as I gave it to Jason just about 2 minutes ago. Who was first?
McCarthy, game one.
Yeah, McCarthy's game one.
Jason, who's game two?
TBA.
Yeah.
Depending on what we need, right? Obviously, there's candidates there, and we could use a bullpen day if we have to. So Saturday will be Greeny, Sunday will be Kuroda.
Whitley and Rogers, just a couple of pitches last night.
Yeah, I mean, I could use them. Whitley, Rogers, Mitchell. I mean, there's a number of guys, but it could be a lot of mixing and matching.
Is Prado's injury the type that would put him on the DL in June?
Probably, yeah.
With 3 weeks to go, is there a chance that you end up shutting him down? You have him under contract for next season.
Right.
Is that a
well,
possibility?
Depending on how long it goes and how we feel. Our feeling is that we'll get him back, but it's just not today, and it's going to take a few days.
Dave.
You get a day after report on Tanaka.
Good. He will throw a bullpen again Friday, I believe, and he felt pretty good today, and he'll throw in a game Monday in Tampa, the minor league facility. I realize we're in Tampa Monday.
Who else? Kev.
Joe, you've tried very hard to keep these guys healthy this year. You probably went above and beyond sometimes, costing you games even maybe. What's the challenge going forward when they're a year older next year?
Well, it's keeping them healthy, I guess, is the challenge. It's just managing them. And sometimes they're injuries that just arise, and it's not an everyday thing. Sometimes guys can get chronic things, and that's what you try to stay away from. But it's giving them days off when you're in long stretches and doing that. Problem is when you get behind in the standings, that's a really hard thing. When you're trying to manage guys and keep them playing and trying to keep them healthy and knowing that you need them every day.
Mark.
So did you speak to Joe Torre or anybody else in the league today about the plate thing?
No.
When you look at the fact that the rules changed this year and now they've sort of changed again mid-season, do you look back at any games this year and think you may have cost yourself runs by your catcher not blocking the plate or anything like that?
You know what? I don't know. I think, to me, the confusion comes for the base runner. I don't think catchers have changed a whole lot. The confusion comes from the base runner when they're encouraged to slide. And I understand that. And I've said all along, I think the intent of the rule is a really good idea. But you worry. You worry about them getting hurt now. And I think that's the hard part. That's why I've said just go back to the way it was, and if a guy goes out of his way to run over a catcher, you're suspended.
You said last night you would almost tell your runners at this point to go barrel over the catcher. Is that what you're telling your runners for this final 20 games?
I mean, if that's your only choice to score the run, I mean, that was allowed last week, 2 weeks ago. Our guys knew that. If that's your only choice, and you feel that you can knock the ball loose, we're playing for something. I mean, that's the confusion of the rule. You're encouraging them to slide, but you also want you guys to play all out and try to get to a playoff spot. So what do you do?
Joe, if that's the way you're looking at it, how is that different than the last?
It's not different. It's not different. And I've told our players, it's not different. If the guy's blocking the plate, you're allowed to run him over. The only thing that was different in a sense was if he's not blocking the plate, don't run him over because you are subject to being suspended. So the rule, in a sense, for the base runners has not changed, but then again, they've been encouraged, we want you all to slide. I mean, that's what the rule was originally going to be. You almost had to slide. But then that became confusing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this winter. I'm curious.
Just on another note, Gardner now 2 years in a row has gone down with, last year was the oblique, now it's the abdominal strain. Is there any concern going forward with him just staying healthy basically over 162 games?
Yeah, I mean, there's always concern because of how hard these guys play and the way they play, and speed's a huge part of their game. And sometimes when you have that type of speed, you're subject to some injuries. I mean, obviously, if you're a base stealer, you're going to be subject to more hand injuries and those sort of things. So, yeah, it's a concern. But, I mean, he has not missed a whole lot of games this year, and he really has played a whole season. He's not been on the DL. I don't think if this was during the regular season, I don't think this would probably be a DL, not at this point. So, I mean, he has been pretty healthy.
Sweeney.
Joe, on the play last night when the ball's hit that far to the left field line, isn't the catcher always going to be blocking home plate to catch the throw?
No. Because the way I was taught, and I still believe it's the safest way, and people will always say, well, that's your opinion. Yeah, it is my opinion. You give them the thing, and then you take it away. So you don't block the plate. And from where the throw is going, you're fine. The only one that it really becomes confusing is if it's right down the line or in foul territory. And then you just almost have to reverse it and be on the other side, and you take it away going the other way. You give them the first base side of home plate.
So even if you know the throw's coming towards the plate, you have to stand off and you're not standing where you want the ball to be thrown. You're just standing to give the guy the plate, and then you move to where the ball is supposed to be thrown.
No, I'm just going to simplify it, right?
Okay, please. Yeah.
This is home plate. This is the third baseline. You're going to stand here, so he's got that.
Okay.
Right? Ball comes, you step in and you take it away. That's all it is. And it's the safest way. You give them something to slide at, and then I was dumb enough in college, and trying to be the macho guy to block home plate without the ball, and I got ran over twice in 3 plays. One time by the starting running back for the Wisconsin Badgers. So I learned how to block the plate the correct way. So, I broke my nose. I've had my shoulders separated, blocking home plate, and I learned how to do it the right way.
In your view, what you just demonstrated is not what happened last night.
No, because he was standing blocking home plate from the time the ball was coming. The only time that you are taught, that I was taught to step in early, if it's a bang-bang play. But if not, you got plenty of time.
And because that's a judgment call, there's no right to protest anything at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's an opinion of an umpire, what they consider is too early or too late.
That's not misapplication of rules that you can protest. That's just the judgment of the umpire.
Yeah, and that's why I want to get rid of that. I want it just to be, if you go out of your way, and you can see if a guy goes out of his way to run a catcher. That's pretty easy to see. If he goes out of his way, he's suspended for a week. And that guys are not going to do it.
Meredith, you're going to have to get a second camera in here. Yes Network.
I was wondering if we could do it
You know, tomorrow you can bring a plate in. How's that?
Dave.
Joe, two things. One is, speaking of the interpretation and judgment, are you frustrated at all by the fact that you didn't ever get an explanation now on these reviewed plays? Because all the umpires are hearing and they're telling you is they upheld it or they overturned it. There's no explanation.
You know, it's probably smart that they don't give an explanation because that would probably lead to an argument.
The other thing is, the outside world right now is pretty skeptical about your guys' chances. How do you project to your team
Right.
players that you are still mathematically alive? and have a
Right.
chance?
Well, it's happened before. It's very difficult, but it's happened before. And, you know, you can only control the things that you can control. So go control them. And then you worry about where you fall later on.
Any need to tell them, or you think they know?
They know, believe me.
You pass it behind you, Dave.
Just to dot all the I's, there's no chance of Tanaka pitching in that doubleheader in Baltimore.
I said he's throwing Monday in Tampa at a minor league facility.
Okay.
He threw
Anybody else?
Tuesday too, right? Yeah. Yeah, he threw Tuesday.
Short rest.